Hi, I'm Doug Reese from Flipkiss Productions, and I'm here today to make a little video about the Broken Wand ceremony. Now, you've just found out that a fellow magician has just passed away, and what do you do now? You've heard about the Broken Wand ceremony, you may have even been to a Broken Wand ceremony, but what do? We need to be prepared well in advance before any one of our fellow magicians passes away. So once a fellow magician passes away, the first thing you need to do is notify all the other magicians in your area. Notify somebody from the local S.A.M and I.B.M clubs. If there's an F.C.M organization close by, notify them too. Any magic shops, notify them. Make sure that they get the word out. Ask them to spread the word through their email, Facebook accounts, and things like that. And let them know that you will gather information and let them know more information as the information becomes available to you. So the next thing you need to do is contact the family, because it's the family's choice whether this is done or not. Now, this can be kind of a rough situation because the family is going through a lot, whether the death is expected or not. And if you're a very close member, close friend of the family, it's okay to go ahead and contact the family personally. But a lot of times you may want to contact the funeral director of the funeral home that is taking care of all the everything for the funeral and for the family. And you contact them, you let them know, say, hey, my name is so-and-so from this magic organization, and so-and-so was a member of the magic fraternity, and we have this ceremony called the Broken Wand ceremony. Explain to the funeral director what it is, what you would like to do, and ask him if he would please ask the family if it's okay that we perform this ceremony. Now, this ceremony should be done prior to the formal funeral day. Usually it's done during a visitation, typically the night before, and of course it's coordinated with the permission of the family, also of the funeral director. Now, preparing for the Broken Wand ceremony. You got to make sure you have all the necessary items. First thing you need to do is figure out, hey, what ceremony do I want to perform? If you go on the website for International Brotherhood of Magicians, you can find a couple of versions there. Also on the S.A.M, Society of American Magicians site, it is available there. You have to be a member, however, on the S.A.M site. You click in with your membership number and name, and then you go to the ritual book, and pages 19 through 25 will give you a lot of information and also different ideas of different types of Broken Wand ceremonies, how to perform and wording and so on and so forth. A lot of magic clubs take a little from everything else. They present their own. I found one from Bruce Chadwick online that he does with his magic club down there in Texas. And I belong to a club here near Pittsburgh, the Mystic Magicians of Beaver Valley, which we have our own little one that we do. But whatever one you decide on, if you are part of a club or organization, make sure that this is something that everybody knows about. Make sure it's printed up. If you have a handbook for your club, make sure it's in the handbook. And make sure that more than one person is well versed in it. The next thing you're going to need is a ceremonial wand. Now, some will take a wand that was the actual wand of the magician that has passed away, or they'll just use a ceremonial wand. It's always good to have ceremonial wands in stock, because this is the hardest thing to find at the last minute to perform the ceremony, because the wand has to be properly prepared. In the center of the wand, there is a small groove cut in there. Now, a lot of people make a mistake of cutting the groove through one side only. The groove needs to be cut around the circumference with a very fine-tooth bandsaw blade. What that allows to do, it makes the wand so it can snap easily, but by cutting it all the way around the circumference, it'll keep that wand from splintering. If you just make a cut from one side part way through, when you break it, the wand will splinter. So to keep it on the safe side, the cut has to be all the way around. Here in the shop of Flipkiss Productions, I have a special jig that I put on the bandsaw that cuts it to a uniform depth, and so make sure that the wand is properly prepared, whether it's one that you purchased ahead of time, which is always good to have, because even if the magician had a special wand that he has, a lot of times the family does not know where he kept that wand, where it is, and you don't have time to find it. So just make sure you not only yourself, but other members of your club or organization have these on standby in case they're needed. The next thing you're going to need is a chain of 3 rings. Now, any size rings will do. These are 10-inch rings, and they kind of seem to work the best. So bring these to the funeral home with you, but just don't carry them in like this. Put them in a bag or something so they're not making noise and clanging, and that they're kept out of sight and silent until the time of the ceremony when they are presented. Now, another thing that I like to do is, as you're doing the ceremony, the family, they're very emotional, and of course they are appreciative of what you're doing. They hear the ceremony, but they really don't understand the ceremony, because I know we've put a lot of thought into the wording and everything of the ceremony. And one thing that our club likes to do is we take the ceremony and we print it out on a piece of glossy photo paper, just like this, very nice. And notice there's a lot of space left at the bottom here. Before the ceremony, we have all the magicians present sign this, put it into a frame, and then present it to the family at the end. That way, at their leisure, at any time, they can read through it and understand what the ceremony was about and what the magicians meant to their past husband or wife or whoever it was that has passed away. Now, you need to, once you have spoken to the funeral director and family, you need to contact the magicians now and let them know what time and where. Very important, give them the address to the place. This day and age with GPSs and Google Maps and all those things, it's very easy to find a location if you have the address. Doesn't hurt to give the website to the funeral home also, because a lot of times they'll have additional information on there about the funeral and the arrangements. The day of the broken wand ceremony, which like I said is not the day of the funeral, but it's prior to that, which has been approved by the family and funeral director. You have a certain time, say 8 o'clock is going to be the broken wand ceremony. You do not tell people to be there at 8 o'clock. Tell everybody to be there no later than 7:15. I usually allow 45 minutes ahead of time, because you have some people that'll come in, right when you tell them. Some will be a few minutes late. You want to have enough time to do a briefing. A briefing is very important, because a lot of the members that come in have never been part of the broken wand ceremony. They may have never seen it before, or maybe they're not used to the way that you are performing, or that you have set it up, or the special wishes of the family or funeral director on changes that you might have to make for that particular ceremony. So the briefing is very, very important. And a lot of the things I go over the briefing, the first thing I do is I choose 2 people that have been the closest to the deceased. One will stand to my right, one will stand to my left as I do the ceremony. One of them will do the presentation of the rings at the proper time, and the other one, as the wand is passed around full circle, will do the actual breaking of the wand. Also, when you're talking to the funeral director, if you need something special, let them know what you need. If you want to use, if you need a pulpit or something like that, or a light or a microphone, if it's going to be a lot of people, let them know ahead of time. If you're bringing in a sound system, let them know that. Myself, I put everything in a little binder just like this. So that way I don't need anything unless it's a larger crowd, and then I'll put a mic on myself and we'll go from there. But I put everything right in a nice little folder here so I can read it. Another thing that I do when I present the ceremony is I print it out in very large letters on 2 sheets like this. So now they're in my book. When I open up my book, they are arranged like this right in front of me. So even though I have rehearsed this and know it like the back of my hand, I don't want to miss anything, so I use this as notes. And notice each sentence is highlighted with a very large letter. So that way I never lose my space when I'm performing the ceremony. Now, different ceremonies are different. You need to know the meaning of each line in the broken wand ceremony. Like I said, you need to rehearse it, but also understand each word, each line, what it means. Like for instance, in our ceremony, there is a line in here that is directed directly at the deceased. So you need to, as I'm doing this, usually I will turn towards the casket. If it's not a casket, look upward as I am saying this paragraph to the deceased and not the audience per se. Okay, personalizing the ceremony. Okay, even though you have everything scripted out, you have the ceremony, it's been rehearsed. Every person's different, every performer, every magician's different. I always like to personalize it in a way to the person. So I like to know as much about the person that I'm giving the ceremony for as possible. Unfortunately, all the ones that I've given, I've known the person for many, many years and know quite a bit about them. The things they enjoy in life other than magic, their different hobbies, their favorite foods, their favorite movies, their favorite kind of music. So I also like to interject some of this. It kind of lightens the mood. And it also lets the family know that it's not just a ritual that you actually care about this person, and that's why you're there. And it is just very much appreciated. We had one magician here recently, and we even had the local newspaper come and cover it, do a nice story. And he absolutely loved M&Ms. M&Ms were his vegetable. So before we started the ceremony, we passed around a bag of M&Ms, and everybody took a few M&Ms in their hands, and we had a toast to our fellow magician, ate the M&Ms, and then we went into the ceremony. And the family just greatly appreciated it because we personalized that. Another thing that I like to do is one of the toughest parts of the ceremony, I think, is at the conclusion. When you're at the end of the ceremony, there's just like that dead silence. People don't know what to do, Should we get up now? Should we say something? Should we applaud? And what I've done that works very well and is very much appreciated is, hey, this fellow or this girl, they were performers. And what is the greatest thing that a performer can receive? And that's the big O, the standing ovation. So at the end of the ceremony, I finally state that, this is the conclusion of the Broken Wand ceremony, and the biggest honor that you can give a performer is a standing ovation. So let's give our friend together one last standing ovation. So it just kind of breaks through that barrier, and it eases the tension, and it's a great, great send-off to our fellow performer. Also, you need to know the faith of the performer and the family, because there's all different walks of life in the art of magic. There are hardback Christians, people that do strictly Christian magic, and that is a very important part of what they do. And they like to have a prayer attached to it. There are other people that are atheists, and even though if you are a Christian performing it and the person's an atheist, it's about that person. It's not about you. So if I am giving the ceremony to somebody that is an atheist, I'm not going to include a prayer. I'm going to include a lot of the nice things about him. I'm going to include the ceremony and the things that is going to make that people happy and make them understand what that person was, what they meant to us, what they meant to the magic community. That is so, so important. It's not about you. It's not a performance. It's an honor for the person and the family that you are performing for. Okay, the actual physical setup of the ceremony, I have seen it done a lot of different ways. I've seen just one person come up and speak as they were preaching a sermon and actually give the ceremony. And now, once again, this is just the way that I do it. This is the way our club do it. It doesn't say that you have to do it this way. You may have your own way. And I love to talk to different people and see what their traditions are. Like, for instance, one person said, at the end, we'd like to, one at a time, go up to the casket and give him a bow, which is a great gesture. During the ceremony, I like to set everybody up in two semicircles. And when it comes time to pass the wand is passed around. And also during the briefing, I explained to them, hey, we're going to pass this wand around. It has this cut in the middle, which makes it weak in the middle. Please pass it around gently because we don't want to break the wand prematurely. And there's different people that they will, they will pause for a moment and maybe say something over the wand themselves. Some might give it a kiss, and some might just give it a little wave. But whatever it is, make sure they know to be gentle with that wand. Also, the people that are breaking the wand and the person presenting the rings, make sure that they know ahead of time during the briefing exactly when do you display the rings. So you go through it and say, when I say this, this is when you present the rings. And this is when you take and you put the rings away. Once it's passed around, you explain to the person that is going to break the wand, you know, this is how you break the wand here. Once the wand is broken, you turn around, place it in the casket or whatever your tradition is for the breaking of the wand. Thank you for taking the time to watch this video. I hope that I've given you some information and insight on the broken wand ceremony, because when a fellow magician passes away, it's so important that we honor them, because throughout their lives as a performer, they have touched so many lives, and now that is gone, and we need to show them and their family the proper respect and appreciation. And if you have any ideas or questions, feel free to email me at the email address down below here. And if you need a broken wand, I'll be happy to send you out 1 or 2 or 3, however many you need. And the cost is very minimal. The cost covers my cost of making the wands. It's not a profit thing. It's just that I want to make sure that we are all set up to do the right thing at the right time. And you can check me out on my website, which is right here. Okay? And if you have any questions, contact me. Comments, contact me. Until then, goodbye, everybody.